What's up, gamers? How are we today? I'm doing great, and Spider-Man will be coming back soon. Don't worry, I just need to record it. I haven't done it because I'm lazy. But that's not why you're here. Why you're here for is for me to read more fan fictions. Now, unlike last time, I read Sonic fan fictions, and I think I read one Mario fan fiction. This time, I'm going to be reading 4 fan fictions. One of them's a movie. 2 of them's cartoons, and the fourth, and last, and this very special one is a TV show. Well, as you can probably tell, I'm in my pajamas because this shirt is kind of loose, like its neck is stretch out. But also, it has Star Wars on it, and I never wear any shirt with any design outside the house. Funny enough, actually, with this shirt, I'm actually wearing my pajamas that have Darth Vader on them, as you can probably tell right here. So I think it's only fitting we start the episode off with a Star Wars fanfiction. And just like last time, there won't be any of the text on screen. You're just going to have to hear me say it. It's a long story. It's not. No, this isn't long. But that in general is. Also, hi, how are you? I'm doing great. So there's that. There you go. Alright, you ready for this? So this is I Love You by Obvious Hiding. Or Obvious Hiding? Obvious Hiding sounds more right. The little description is this is just a little 5 times, one time fluff thing about Rogue One's rebel captainship. Okay. Disclaimer, they do not own Star Wars. So let us start. So it starts with the bold word 5, alright? The first time he told her he loved her was on the battlefield. They barely survived Scarif, and they've been out on a mission since then. After their first mission prior to Scarif was when he officially asked her out. She accepted. A couple months later, they went out on a supposedly quick and easy recruiting trip. It wasn't quick and easy. Ooh. Lasers fired overhead sideways as Cussy ducked and dodged every bolt. He slipped behind an overturned cargo ship. Ragged breaths coming out in pants. A few seconds later, a small little shape joined him. Jin held her blaster at the ready, met his dark gaze with fire in her eyes. Over the months, they had mastered a way to communicate silently so that they could do what they needed to be done. What needed to be done with just a look at each other. They used that look now. Oh, wow. Whoa. Crazy. That's crazy. Hold on, I'm just readjusting the camera. That's fine. Cassian knew exactly what needed to be done. One of their fallen comrades had an undetonated bomb in his pocket. If one of them could get it, they win. If they get it, they'd win. Needs a comma. Obvious Hiding. Okay? Do it. That person would be Jin because she would slip more easily in and out of the shadows while a rebel counterpart created a distraction. With a nod, they moved to their positions just because she dashed out of their hiding place. Cassian caught her arm and pulled her in for a kiss. When they pulled away, he kept his eyes locked on hers. I love you, Jin, he murmured. She didn't say it back. She didn't need to. He knew with every ounce of her being that she loved him too, even if she didn't say it. They'd been through hell and back together. Not once did he expect her to say it. After a nod from her, he stepped out from the shelter with his blaster ready. 4. The second time he said it, they were standing in the hangar at the rebel base. It was the first mission Jin would brave without Cassian. K2SO was waiting patiently for her, and the ship all the while making crude comments about the 2 rebel relations. Neither seemed to hear nor care. 2 lovebirds. Jin stood with her back to the ship, satchel slung carelessly over one soldier. Cassian was facing her with pride lighting her eyes, but slight worry tracing his face. He knew she'd been waiting a solo mission, but he could tell now that it's been finally here, she wanted him to come with her. I'll be back 2 days, she said, though he already knew. He's been standing in the shadows during her debriefing. I'll be waiting. He responded with a slight smile. Force. She made it. Force. She made him feel like a love-struck teenager sometimes. Why with the Force? Why? Huh. Jin, if you don't hurry, the whole mission will be off. Kay called the co-pilot seat. Cassian smiled, grew at his joints, complaining, "You better go." "Yeah, before Kay kills me," Jin rolled her eyes, "or I kill him." Both rebels laughed slightly. Just slightly. Shifting a little uncomfortably. Neither particularly knew what to say, solely as if a little uncertain. Cassian took a step forward, then another, and then one more, until he stood with his chest touching his girlfriend's. Like that? Like this is his chest and this is hers? Like that. I think that's what I'm imagining. And then what was I? She didn't back away. Instead, she faced him with a smile, still gracing her features. She could smile. He didn't kiss her, not at first. It was her who initiated. She stood on her tiptoes and wrapped her arms around his neck, bringing her warm lips to brush against his. They deepened the kiss when he bent his head down a little so he didn't need to stand on her toes. They would have stood there all day if Kay hadn't interrupted them. "Are you two done? Because if you're quite finished, I'd like to get going," the cynical droid started. Cassian didn't want to stop. He liked the feeling of warm body pressed against his and fluttering of her heart when he kissed her. He liked looking into her fiery green eyes. Fire isn't green, though. I mean, if you heat it up enough, I guess it turns green. But still, whatever. When they pulled away and seeing his happiness reflected there, but he knew that had a job to do. She was to leave, and he was to stay. She stepped back reluctly, one hand still resting on his shoulder. Just because it left, he caught it and kissed her palm. "Okay, you two lovebirds need to stop. You're gonna kill the whole entire planet if you don't stop." No words need to be said, but he wanted to say them anyway. "I love you." The words hung on the air as she gave one last smile and turned away, ascending the ramp to the ship's belly. Wow. Seeing as how long this is gonna take, we're gonna cut this one out. And it was one about Kim Possible. I'll explain a little bit more when we're done. The third time these 3 words were spoken was the night her scream awoke him. The piercing cry split the air, disrupting the stifling darkness. Within seconds, he was out of the bed and sitting beside her on the rinky-dink mattress the motel provided. They were on a simple intelligence mission and were to return to base that morning. The motel had 2 beds side by side with only one. I can't read for some reason. With only a old nightstand to separate them. The bathroom was off to the right of Jin's bed. The only bit of privacy we could provide was a thin slab of wood that was supposedly to pass for a door. Cassian, with the adrenaline racing through his body, gripped Jin's shoulder and shook her awake, trying with all his might to be gentle but forceful. That's 2 different things. The screaming faded into crying as she awoke. Sobs racked her body as she grasped for breath. Shaking with relief, he pulled her into a hug, arms wrapping around her softly and calmingly. After a little bit, the crying faded until it was just them, sitting, huddled together on the bed. He let her go and got up, only to return moments later with a glass of water. She took the proffered? Something spelled wrong there. Beverage gratefully, setting it on the nightstand when she was done. "I'm sorry I woke you," she murmured. He could barely believe his ears. She was apologizing? Why? Because you woken him when she had a nightmare? That wasn't her fault. "There's no need to apologize, Jin," he said, searching for her gaze. She avoided looking at him. Instead, she stared down at whatever her hands were doing, with frayed ends of the moth-eaten blanket. Sighing, Cassian moved to lay down beside her in the darkness. Surprise flashed across her face, but she moved to make room for him. Neither said anything at the sudden change of sleeping arrangement. They both knew what was needed. Like the gentleman he was. Oh, like the gentleman he was. I'm an idiot, that's why. He didn't make a move to climb over the covers. If she was okay with that, she'd offer. Indeed, seconds later, she lifted the blankets and they soon found themselves both beneath. He still refrained from touching her, though. The quiet chirping of the crickets outside seemed to fill the room. Both rebels listened intently, trying to desperately to drift. I can't read. Why do I do these videos? I can't read. To drift back into their sleep. Letting out one frustrated sigh, Jin turned to herself, onto her side, Jesus, and moved to cuddle up against Cassian. He accepted the gesture with a smile, wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulling her against him. "Hey, Jin," he whispered softly. "Ligma." Her tired reply told him that she was already drifting off. "Ligma balls." If she heard him, she gave no indignation. So close. So close. The fourth time he admitted his love was on a mission that required her to go undercover as an available young woman in a bar. Cassian acted as security, keeping a close eye on their target. Jin was to extract information from using her womanly charms, as we in the biz call charms. Harvey Weinstein will tell you a thing or two about that. In fact, when her partner saw her that night, he felt as though all the air had been knocked from his lungs. She was gorgeous. He had never seen her in anything resembling what she wore now. A floor-length, sparkly emerald green dress, like her eyes, hugged her chest but flowed down to the bottom. Black heels clicked against the tile as she walked, matching jewelry against her body. Jewelry shined against her body. Her brown hair was tied into a fancy updo, with the front strands curling down to frame her face, like a picture frame. Just like the hair is like just going around. Yeah. Jesus, it's so long. We still have two more to. I think this was the shortest. Then this one's the longest. Don't worry, we're like halfway done. Alright. He knew she was only wearing that outfit for the mission and hated every second of it, but that didn't stop him from staring as she descended the staircase that led to the main floor of the bar. He himself was in a simple security uniform. Seeing her in that dress suddenly made him wish both of them were back in the room at a base. Her eyes found his across the room, which snapped him out of the daydreaming. He snapped to position, ignoring the thoughts that threatened to take over his mind again. The jazzy music played throughout the bar, echoing against the wall. Jin slid into his seat beside the target, letting a smile play to her strengths. The man watched her like a predator watches its prey. Cassian suppressed a growl at the scene before him. He didn't like the idea of his girlfriend seducing someone else, even if it was just business, acting like the security guard he was supposed to be. He moved around the room, back to the wall. Discreetly, he tried to get closer to her so he could hear her conversation. "You never told me with a pretty thing like you was doing here unescorted." The man smiled. Jin played her part to a T, giggling like a sweet, naive little girl she was supposed to be. Honestly, that was the first time Cassian had heard her giggle. Jin played her. Well, I'm just here hoping to meet a handsome fella like you. She purred, her usual accent being replaced by something unrecognizable. She got the Boston accent, or my idea of the Boston accent. The target kissed her, and then Cassian had restrained himself from blowing his cover to get the filthy man's lips off of hers. Only he was allowed to kiss her like that. However, she played the part like a professional and kissed him back. "What do you say we head upstairs, sweetheart?" Target let out a growl that he probably thought was seductive. Jin nodded excitedly at the suggestion and followed him like a lost schoolgirl up the stairs. Like a lost schoolgirl? What is this, Japan? Jesus. To the bedroom above. Cassian melted into the shadows behind him and followed quickly and silently. He arrived at the top just in time to see them opening a door. Catching his partner's eye, he learned that she completed the mission and it was time to leave. All too gratefully, the rebel stalked up to the target, tapped his shoulder. The moment he turned around was the moment he got punched in the face. A sickening crack sound which meant a broken nose. Cassian! Cassian! Jin shrieked. "Are you kidding me?" He gave her a look as though he was a child in trouble for fighting. "You didn't have to punch him." "He kissed you," he muttered as an explanation. "And anyway," he added, "you're mine. Like a property." I'm not yours. I'm not anyone's," she growled furiously. Why would you think I'm yours?" Because you're property. Let's go was her only response. Because she's property. That was definitely his response in that. Oh, I love you. But it was definitely, I see you as property. So there's that. The fifth time he told her of his love, that they were sitting in the base official cantina. Both rebels were nursing their drinks while sitting on a couple of bar stools. They were off duty and celebrating another successful mission. At one point, Jin got to use the restroom. Only when she was gone did another one coming up. Even Cassie had to admit the woman was undeniably pretty, but that was just it. She was pretty. She might call her hot, but wasn't beautiful like Jin. This woman's face almost was as pale as a ghost. Her light blonde hair looked almost bleached and was tied in a complicated swirls atop her head. Sparkling blue eyes shone out of the unmarked face. Her lack of scars showed how obvious it was that she was new to the rebellion. Of course, her newness was also displayed by the fact that she came up to him without fear. Every other woman in the rebellion knew for a fact that they'd get their butt kicked by Jin if they dared to flirt with him. "Hey, sweetie," she giggled. "I'm Nora Bolinski." "Hi," Cassian awkwardly responded. What was he supposed to do in this situation? This had never happened before. Sure, girls had flirted with him in the past, but never when he had his own girlfriend. "So I saw you sitting here all by your lonesome." I'm sorry. Nora took the seat previously occupied by Jin. "Actually, my partner will be right back," he informed the young woman. "Well, that's all right. I'll keep you company until she returns." He returns? That's not right. She giggled and placed her hand on his arm. My partner is a girl, Jin Urso. You might have heard of her." Cassian shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "She's also my girlfriend." "No, she's property." "That's too bad," she sighed, sticking out her bottom lip in a pout. "But I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I kept you company." With a smile, Nora moved towards him like she was about to kiss him. He moved away, but her hand was on his leg, which kind of left him trapped. She was stronger than she looked. After that, everything happened too fast. One moment, a reasonably pretty girl was trying to kiss him, and the next she was lying face down on the cantina floor with a seething Jin standing over her. "Jin!" Cassian exclaimed, unable to help himself. Jin shot a glare before stomping out of the cantina. He stood up and followed her almost immediately. Only momentarily distracted by the rebels running out over to help Nora up. Once he got past them, he all but ran after his girlfriend. Property. He found her stomping down the deserted corridor that led to her room. "Jin!" he shouted. But she ignored him. "Jin!" Nothing happened. She didn't stop until he grabbed her arm and turned her face him. To his surprise, her green eyes sparkling with unshed tears, and her bottom lip quivered, even though it was obvious she was trying to stop it. His heart sunk at the sight. He always hated to see her cry, but it was 1,000 times worse when it was because of him. "Jin, please," he murmured. Nothing happened, I swear. He met her gaze without fear as she searched for it, looking for a trace that he was lying. Finally, after finding nothing, she nodded and let him pull her into a hug. "I only see you as property," he murmured into her hair, closing his eyes as he cherished the moment. It was a long video. Explosions sounded nearby as stormtroopers advanced. This wasn't going to happen. The mission was just to gather intel, not start another battle. Jin used her blaster to shoot down a couple of these white-clad soldiers. What are they? Crusaders? While also hitting a couple over the head with the back of it. A couple feet away, Cassian was struggling to gain the upper hand against a couple others. Then a shot went off. Everything was in slow motion. Cassian fell. The stormtroopers retreated. Jin was left devastated as she ran over to her fallen comrade. But he was more than that. He felt that she was property, and she thought she was also property to him. But she never told him that. Now he was gone. He had fallen with a blaster wound right in his chest. Curate and Baze seemed to come out of nowhere. The big man lifted his friend's body into his arms with his blind counterpart, guided the young woman back to the ship. Bodai and K. Every kiss begins with K. Was already in the pilot and co-pilot seat. Cassian was set gently on the floor, while Jin sank down next to him, ignoring the world around her. The engine rumbled to the life beneath her, and she was numb to everything. It took 3 days for the med bay to stabilize him and make him wake up. When his chocolate eyes did open, she was right there at his side. She jumped to action the moment the hand she is holding squeezed hers. Jin pulled him into a hug when he awoke, being careful to avoid injuring him further. He chuckled slightly and grit his teeth in pain. "Cassian!" she breathed out, relief clear in her voice. "Jin!" he murmured. "I'm okay. Don't worry. It's only been 2 hours." She trailed off from the search gaze, stealing a resolve. She said, "I'm yours. I mean, as property, of course, Cassian Andor." Shock slid over his features, but it quietly washed away to show a dazing smile. "I know. You're my property." The end. So I was gonna read a Kim Possible one due to the recent movie or TV series where it's live action, but I decided not to. Instead, I'm gonna read this Teen Titans one, which is called Kitten is What? The Titans come to a revelation about Kitten. One shot for now, but I might give it another chapter. It has 911 words, and that's exactly why I want to read it. And then after that, we get the big boy. Alright. None of these characters or setting belongs to me. Please don't sue me. Thanks. Oh, by the way, this is written by The Teen Wonder. The Teen Wonder. Okay, here's that. It was a relatively calm day in Jump, with only a few alerts. Nothing the authorities couldn't handle. The Titans were lounging in the living room, save for Beast Boy. He was digging through the boxes in the basement, looking for trinkets from their adventures to reminisce about. Sorry, I'm really bad. I'm really stupid and bad. It wasn't that close to their second anniversary, but still, finally, he was satisfied with his findings. He piled up the boxes of Killer Moth and Kitten and Mumbo Jumbo, Mad Mod, and Mother May I on top of each other, raced up to the stairs. When he got to the area they dubbed the living room, he found Raven reading books, Starfire preparing the ingredients for a last Temerian concoction, Cyborg watching a show on car modification, and Robert at the main computer doing whatever he does. Starfire was the first to notice him, and she flew to his side. "Greetings, friend. Please, for what purpose have you brought these boxes upstairs?" she asked him, with her endearingly broken English. "Hey, Star. I just wanted to remember some of our funner missions, I guess," Beast Boy said with a smile. "Oh, that is most wonderful. Let us inform our friends and do the remembering together." Raven looked up from her book. "I hope you guys didn't bring that box upstairs," she said, narrowing her eyes at Beast Boy, Robin perking up at the mention of the dust fiasco. And if you asked him later, he denied the slight shudder. Beast Boy looked kind of offended. "Of course not, Ray. I said fun missions, not downright horrifying ones. What am I doing with my life? I'm reading Fanfictions." I'm skipping this one. We're going to go to this one because it's No Coffee, No Tobacco, and No Remorse by Number Sense. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm just going to tell you a young Sheldon has a very small bazinga. Work of a fanfiction. This is young Sheldon. And this is in the point of view of Georgie. I don't know who that is. I've never watched Young Sheldon, and it's very saddening. I have been compared to Young Sheldon once, and that is why I am depressed. So there's that. Thank you, Grandma. Other than that, let's try to read this horrifying thing. It was Monday after Thanksgiving break, but I wasn't going back to school. After Mom wouldn't let me have a cup of coffee, I decided I had enough of her trying to run my life. I was also getting pissed at her and Dad fighting all the time, even though he left in a hissy fit for his interview in Tulsa 4 days ago. So I drove out beyond the city limits where I saw a hot blonde named Bethany. That's her name, Bethany. Yep. After parking my truck, I introduced myself, asking... Oh, wait, hold on. By the way, this is written by... Oh, no, I think I already said never mind. Number sense. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure the writer got his due diligence. After parking my truck, I introduced myself, asking her why she wasn't in school. It was then I found out that she graduated 4 years ago, and she was taking care of her house while her parents were out of state, even though she's like 22. They were taking care of her grandmother's estate, her mom's mom. Oh, really? You're going to have to... In parentheses, it says, her mom's mom. Like, we don't know what a grandmother is. That's great. She was an only child with a part-time job at the beauty shop who was off work until tomorrow. We went inside and she fixed up a breakfast spread of eggs, ham, hash browns, and biscuits with sausage, gravy, and pancakes. She even gave me some coffee to relax me. I told her about how nitpicky Mom had been with me. After watching TV all morning, she had another surprise for me, a 6-pack of Corona. Even though it wasn't even lunch time, I thought, what the hell? And I guzzled down 3 cans like there was no tomorrow. She had her portion, and then she lit a cigarette. I refused her offer of one, but I wanted to inhale to get a buzz since Mom took away my Red Band. One thing led to another, and the next thing you know, we were in her bedroom. Oh no, I didn't know this was how it is. Jesus. Okay, alright. Oh no. Oh no. Oh god. Okay, naked and not ashamed. But in a couple of minutes, we heard some... okay, we're good. I thought this young Sheldon fanfiction was going somewhere I didn't want it to go. Alright. We heard some tires screeching in the front yard. Is that your parents? I asked. Bethany reassured me. They won't be back until the end of the week. That was the bit of euphoria I felt that day. When Mom went to work, she was still upset over what has been happening at the home. She had begged Pastor Jeff to let off early so nobody there could see her tears. She later claimed that the Holy Spirit told her to come down to the road where Bethany lives. After stopping her station wagon, she banged on the door like she was a federal agent doing a drug bust. Bethany ran out into the living room with a robe to answer the door. She was greeted with, "Where the hell is my son?" Bethany replied to Mom with, "What the F do you think you're doing?" Mom didn't answer, but she saw me with a bedsheet wrapped around me. "Why'd you leave the room?" George Washington Cooper Jr. I want an answer, and I want it now. She was yelling louder than Pastor Jeff ever did during one of his repetitive sermons. When she had momentarily calmed down, she smelled my breath and started back up. "And what the hell have you been drinking?" Before I could answer, she got up to my face and pinned me against the wall next to Bethany's room. "And you don't put your dang clothes on right now, young man. You are grounded indefinitely. But then your dad may want to extend that." After I got dressed, Bethany, stale and rude, yelled out, "We just became friends. It was nothing illegal." Mom answered back with, "I'll deal with you later, you trashy whore." Jesus, Mom's crazy. 2 miles down the road, Mom swung the wagon into a small gas station. After stopping, she made me get out and told me she had a surprise for me. "You want some coffee really bad, don't you? Well, your prayers have been answered. Mr. Wiggins, the owner of the store, had half a pot left over from earlier. Mom gave him $20 to cover any losses he might suffer." Dragging me outside, she pinned me against a grass pump and poured coffee down my mouth. "Mom, have you lost your mind?" "No, I know you've lost yours. Skipping school just to lie with a woman you don't know." "I didn't know her until today. Plus, everyone knows you and Dad acted like this when you were a teenager." She shot back with, "Shut your effing mouth. I've had enough of her and you. When your father gets back from Oklahoma after you sober up, you're going to tell him how you hurt me by skipping school and sleeping with a young girl you don't even know." At this moment, she's still pouring coffee down his throat. He's speaking out of his nose at this point. After getting home, Mom's made me stay in my room the rest of the day. After throwing my personal belongings on the floor, I eventually fell asleep. I was too drunk to know that Meemaw picked up Sheldon at school. No, not Sheldon. because he got upset while presenting his stupid experiment he worked on while school was out. Even took him to Radio Shack to make him feel better. Dad came home way past dark and told Mom, Sheldon, Missy, and Mimo that he was staying in Medford. Early the next morning, Dad woke me up before sunrise. Hey, Georgie, what happened between you and Mama yesterday? I replied with, I'm tired of her telling what I can and can't do. He came back with, Georgie, it doesn't matter how you feel. You're going to obey everything your mother says. Everything you and your mom... Wait, hold on. Everything your mother and I say. And to make sure, I'm going to drive you to school every day until the end of the semester. As soon as we get to school, we're going to see Mr. Peterson, and you're going to tell him why you didn't come to school yesterday. And I'm going to recommend that you get 5 days of in-school suspension to give you time to think about what you've done. I interrupted with, you get to drink beer at the dinner side table, and Mimo always smokes when she comes over. And he had to give me all he had to give me was, it may not be fair, but it was fair to talk back to your mother and drive off to God knows where yesterday. But what about my truck? Bethany will wonder where I am. Well, we'll get it one of these days, but it'll be after you complete in-school suspension. After I could think about the rest of the week, it was how much I wanted to see Bethany again. And she was going to tell her folks when they came back from Indiana. I also blew off my schoolwork and didn't say much when I was home, unless Dad or Mom asked me a question, or if Sheldon and Missy were poking fun at me. And with that, the Young Sheldon fanfiction is over. What was your favorite part? My favorite part was the entire, weird... I had sexual relations with that girl section with Bethany and what is this kid's name? Georgie? Bethany. Either way, I am sorry for the ruckus I have given to all of you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tomorrow we'll be back with more Spider-Man, most likely. So there's that. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Peace. Also, Ligma. Because that's still funny, right? Yeah. Hope it is. Bye.